Hi, my name's James Austin. I'm one of the directors here at Cohesion Early Talent Recruitment. As before, we've invited a number of organisations and clients to share their thoughts and perspectives on the topic of candidate communications and engagement. So, on behalf of Cohesion, thank you for those who've taken part and taken time to sort of share their thoughts. I suppose we've decided to host this topic because we've seen a trend over the last number of years where more and more of the recruitment process is being driven online. We've seen this year, especially because of COVID-19 and the necessities of social distancing and all the impact that has had. But actually, we feel it sort of stems from before that. This is something that's been happening for a number of years now, and a lot of it is because of sort of advancements in technological capability. With that, there are an awful lot of positives. So whether that be through time and cost, and also from the candidate's feedback, very often we hear that the positive side of a candidate being able to dial on and conduct a psychometric test or a video test online, rather than having to drive around the country to attend a number of assessment centres or whatever it might be. There is, however, a downside to that as well. And, from speaking to our recruitment teams, very often they'll speak to candidates who've gone through a process for a different hiring organisation, and the candidate's got to the very end of the process and has never actually spoken on a one-to-one basis or had any engagement with a representative from the hiring organisation. And I suppose at Cohesion, we feel that recruitment is a human-centric and a personalised-centric process. And by keeping the candidate at the very centre of what we do, I think adds another layer of quality and, I suppose, experience that they walk away with. Within Cohesion, our total service offering is broken down into a number of modules, and clients either engage with us to provide one or two of those individually or bolt them together and as a total service offering. But what we found is our module around candidate comms and engagement and pre-boarding, etc., has actually been the fastest growing part of our business. I think organisations spend a lot of focus and time looking at the number of applications, how many there are at various stages, but quite often forget to look at the level of engagement that all of the candidates receive as they move through that process. So what we've done is to break that process down into sort of bite-sized chunks, but all of which are designed to embed and connect, and I suppose really set the candidate up for success. So whether the candidate is successful in actually being offered a position or not, or they fall out at a sort of stage preceding that. I think the critical thing is that it's the total experience that they receive, and it's absolutely got to be a positive experience and a lasting experience. And I think by putting in place that communication engagement module really wraps your arm around the candidates. So that's my thoughts. If you'd like to find out more, please feel free to get in touch, and hopefully hear from you soon. Many thanks.
Welcome to this bite-sized video produced by Cohesion. My name is Steve Isherwood. I'm Chief Executive of the Institute of Student Employers. On this video, we're going to be talking about the importance of candidate communications and engagement. As coronavirus has disrupted our industry very significantly, the importance of communicating with candidates has never been higher. A lot of the feedback that we hear from students is they think it's really important for employers to engage with them, tell them what's happening, tell them what the future could possibly look like, and tell them about their plans. Even if employers don't know, students have told us it's important to still hear something, even if that message is that we don't know. And this is what we are working on at the moment, and here's when we might be able to say something a bit more concrete. We know of employers that have had to bring people actually into their business, but they've had to do it virtually. So people have still been starting their employees throughout this period of lockdown and coronavirus crisis. And employers have been doing that through a whole different range of tools, virtual inductions, virtual projects, virtual training they've been able to assign people to, and getting virtual teams up and running. So that focus on doing that properly has been a significant headache, I know, for many employers, because they're really keen to do it well and do it properly, because we know that if you don't induct people properly, that actually that sets that sets the kind of the mindset of the person joining an organization. So it's important to do it really well. So that's what we're discussing on this video, and you're going to hear from a number of speakers who will be talking about this issue and what they've been doing about the problems and the solutions they've been coming up with. So time for our next speaker.
Hi everyone, my name's Ashley Heaver. I'm the Talent Acquisition Director here at Enterprise Rent a Car. For us at Enterprise, candidate care, candidate engagement has always been seen in the same way that we view our customers. It has to be of the highest quality, and we've had to make some changes to our recruitment process, to our assessment process over the past few months to deal with COVID, but that doesn't mean we have to change the way that we communicate with candidates, the way that we try and engage with candidates throughout our process. It's really important that candidates have got a point of contact at an employer, and that they can reach out to them at any given time. And I think from an employer's perspective, and what we're really looking at is continuing to engage with candidates, to have open communication and dialogue with candidates, and give them a great experience throughout the process. For example, we had to put some job offers on hold that people were due to start in March and April through COVID, but we needed to still continue to communicate with these candidates, explain what was happening with the business and how we would be in touch in the future with them. And many of them have actually continue to be engaged with us as a business and will join us over the next couple of months in our rental operation. So it's vital that we set candidates up for success. We are their first point of contact. We can make them feel good about joining a business as an employer. We really want to make sure that they're aware of what our procedures are going to be like with COVID. What's it going to be like joining a business without actually meeting anybody? And you need to make sure that you've got mentors or people who are currently in the business that can really help with the onboarding of any new employee that is going to be joining you in this new virtual world. So a few different things to think about, but it is ever evolving, and we need to continue to look at different innovative and new ways to engage with our candidates.
Hi, I'm Helen from IBM. I've been managing the placement scheme for a couple of years now, and I've been an early careers manager for 6 years. So making sure that your strategy is clearly articulated right at the very start of attraction, making sure that everybody knows what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and sticking to those timelines, being true to your word and gaining the trust of your candidates right from day one is just the most important thing that you can do. So please, I hope that other recruiters will do the same. This is my preferred approach, and hopefully in engaging with your candidate straight away, you will create a happy candidate who trusts in your brand and the fact that you're going to be a great employer for them.
Hi, I'm Dan Doherty, and I manage the graduate and apprentice recruitment at Capgemini UK. I think if we go in chronological order, candidate-wise, and we look at the pre-live engagement, I think that will become more so the norm for a lot of employers. I find that quite a few will only go to market and advertise to those who are actually actively looking and seeking, as opposed to a candidate pool that they've built up, nurtured, engaged, and educated with insights and reasons to join the company. Programmatic advertising, we've seen some great success there, and I think that will further explode, particularly in the careers scene. We do know statistically from the research from the likes of YouthSite that careers related content is welcomed on young people's and this generation's social channels. I think with youth unemployment, with careers advisory, with maybe a lack of direct engagement with influencers face to face, means that their interactions digitally with content, with people who are in certain professions is going to be an all-time high. It's going to be really rich, and it's going to be a great ROI for those that do produce that content on a regular scale. Assessment and selection wise, I guess digital was the heartbeat of I guess most of the employers in the early career space in terms of online applications, maybe some online testing or assessments, and also video interviewing as well. I think the biggest change was the final stage, which for 99+% of folk, it was face to face on site at the offices, and I think that has been probably the biggest shift. The number of virtual assessment centre options out there are growing. So I suspect there'll be lots of advancements, a lot of product roadmaps, a lot of tech that's being rolled out in the virtual assessment centre space. Very intrigued to see what happens with those who are operating in I guess the Zooms and the Teams and WebExes, and whether they do look to create or allow the embedment of virtual assessment centre activities in terms of the data, in terms of the logistics, in terms of the communications, the instant messaging, and the candidate exercises on the day as well. So that for me is going to be a game changer, and I think recent surveys that we ran on LinkedIn suggested that in the early career space, the options to run assessment centres post COVID as digital 100% or 50 to 100% or less than 50% or zero. In comparison to face-to-face, we were very surprised that early careers recruiters were looking to run 100% assessment centres around 40% of the market, which was way above what we thought. I guess they are seeing the same efficiencies and cost savings as well, with no adverse impact on candidate hiring ratios at the end. So it makes business sense. Interestingly, only 13% were looking to go back to do face-to-face full-time and adopt a non-virtual assessment centre delivery. That's particularly interesting that it is such a small number, and I think maybe COVID has really sped up the transition towards a virtual recruitment process, from digital engagement with content to application to assessment selection to assessment centres itself. And then you're going into what is largely a digital first onboarding, offer management, and now induction. So I think the whole end-to-end candidate journey could well be a digital first, data centric approach,